Welcome into the Browns Report, everybody. I am your host, Joey O'Donohue, and officially, we have it. The Browns' initial 53-man roster has been released. Let's react to it, go through every position group, because we're crazy. We're hyped, sick football fans here on the show, so we're going to go through everybody and see what's good, what's bad. Want to know your thoughts, so make sure you drop a like on the video, and let's get right into who the Browns have released in the wide receiver room first. It's Chase Cota, Caden Davis, who can still be on the practice squad, but he is initially being released. That one, a little interesting. He had a pretty good preseason, couple touchdowns, also used in the return game, so hopefully he can earn his way back on. But for now, he's being cut, as is Quinshon Judkins, Cade McDonald, who went down with an injury in the Browns' most recent preseason game, and, of course, Diontae Johnson, which was probably one of the more surprising ones, not for us here on the show. I didn't predict him to be on the 53-man, but if you do want to go check out the video, we just talked about Diontae Johnson's being released in our most recent video. So, unfortunately, he couldn't revive his career here in Cleveland. Those are the five Cleveland is cutting. Now on to the running backs. Travion Williams, who we saw get some good preseason reps, is out of there, as is Amari Marshall. This one was hoping that Marshall could sneak his way onto the roster. When we get into it, you'll see Cleveland is thin at the running back position right now, and Marshall had a good preseason. A lot of great pickup blocks in the backfield. Also got a lot of good carries in for the Browns, but he's on the way out, as is Pierre Strong Jr. It just seems like Strong has lost a step a little bit. You know, he did have some flashes for the Cleveland Browns in years past, but I don't think he's a back that Cleveland needs. He's gotten a little bit slower, and the Browns are making their running back room open. On to the offensive linemen. The Browns are cutting a decent amount here. Not only Jackson Barton and Javion Cohen, but also Jason Ivey, Lorenzo Thompson, Sebastian Gutierrez, D'Artagnan Tinsley, Bucky Williams. It's a total of 7 being cut. And Cleveland, we know in years past, has been a little thin at the offensive line position, but they had to go out and get rid of all these guys. You know, 4 of these we saw against the Rams in preseason just recently. And so Cleveland getting a little thin in that room, but thankfully they made a trade with the Rams earlier today. So it's more bolstered than you think. We'll get into that. Cornerbacks cut from the roster. Tony Brown II. That one was surprising. He's a veteran, 30 years old, has been around the league, and because Cleveland is a little thin at the corner position as well, with Martin Emerson Jr. out for the year, and Denzel Ward, who returned to practice today, thank God, but we know that he has a little bit of an injury history, so I would like Cleveland to keep another defensive back, maybe go out and get one. But here are the 6 that they've cut along with Tony Brown. Chigozie Anusium out of there, Christian Holmes, Keenan Isaac, Darius Rush, and Lamarian James, who just got cut, had some good preseason reps for the Browns. But Cleveland is moving on, and I do think they should go out and get another CB if they can. Additional cuts. These ones we talked about on the show recently, but Tyler Huntley has been cut. So the Browns have trimmed down their quarterback room. Kenny Pickett traded to the Raiders, and Huntley was really just brought in to get preseason reps because of all the injuries in the Browns quarterback room. Marvin Moody and Charlie Thomas III have also been cut. I know a couple Browns fans were sad to see Charlie Thomas cut because the kid was working hard and playing well in camp, but he's out, as is Mitchell Van Vuren. Sal Cannella, who had some good preseason reps, he was being targeted a lot in the Browns preseason games. And every time I looked up, I felt like Cannella was catching a ball, but seems like he was just there for the preseason. He's not making the official 53-man. Nick Needham, a surprising cut, a guy that spent all of his career with the Miami Dolphins and was an impact player. He's recorded a pick 6. He also had an interception in preseason on Andy Dalton for Cleveland. So that one was kind of surprising, but Needham's out off the roster. Chris Edmonds is also cut. And as I said, Kenny Pickett on his way out. So those are the fat list of roster cuts that Cleveland has made. But there's one more on special teams. Dustin Hopkins' contract has been terminated. Folks, if you tune into the Browns Report, you know I called this and have been saying it for weeks now. And if you watched our watch party, I crashed out when Hopkins missed his most recent point after touchdown. Go on my Twitter, at Joey070, if you want to see that video. It's pretty funny when I watch it back, but it was just such a raw, frustrated reaction I had because I'm done with the kicker issues in Cleveland. we've lost so many close games because of a guy that misses kicks wide left, wide right. And even the ones he makes, sometimes it's a little shaky. It's like, oh, yeah, that just barely snuck in, you know. Early on, he hit a couple 50-yarders in his tenure in Cleveland. I was like, okay, man, we got a guy. Naturally, that didn't happen. And Cleveland has been through a slew of kickers. So it's going to be the kid Andre Schmidt's time to shine in Cleveland. He earned his way as the kicker. Dustin Hopkins, out of here. All right, that's a long list. So if you need to go back and look at the names, go ahead. But I want to know in the comments, are there any players that you're sad to see go? I talked about a couple that were surprising to me. Go ahead, comment a name that you think the Browns should have kept, or one that you're like, I hope they would have made the roster. I want to know how you guys are feeling, Dog Pound Faithful. Okay, before we get right into the 53-man, here are the players that are getting designated on different injury lists for Cleveland. First, Winston Reed will help out that linebacker room eventually, but will have to miss at least the first 4 games of the season. He's going on the reserve injured list. Non-football injury list, David Bell. So the Browns still have Bell in that room, could potentially come back and help out the wide receivers. I showed you the ones that they've already cut, including Deontay Johnson, including Caden Davis. So if they can get Bell back eventually, that would be nice. But right now, he's not taking up a 53-man spot, and neither is Deshaun Watson on the physically unable to perform list. So we know he has to miss 4 games. The Browns have also said that he's going to miss a big portion of the season, but they haven't said he's ruled out for the season. And Deshaun Watson has been posting workout stories on his Instagram like he wants to come back. So he might try to enter himself back into this quarterback race mix, and everybody's going to freak out when that happens. He was just not good towards the end of his tenure with the Browns. So Watson might complicate things, but for now, we don't have to worry about it. And when you look at that QB room, it's a little bit thinner than it was entering the preseason. It just looks a little more right. Joe Flacco, QB1, this is official. Dillon Gabriel, quarterback 2, and Shedeur Sanders, quarterback 3. And then, of course, I mentioned Watson. But now, according to Adam Schefter, that depth chart is accurate in terms of the order. So Kevin Stefanski has named Dillon Gabriel Cleveland's number 2. Shedeur Sanders will dress as the 3/emergency quarterback. I do want to know how everybody is feeling about this. Personally, I think it just speaks the fact that Cleveland does evaluate Dillon Gabriel as a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders, and this dates back to the NFL draft. They drafted Gabriel before they drafted Shedeur in the 3rd round, and Shedeur fell to the 5th. We know the story. So I don't think that it's necessarily bad for the time being. They have evaluated Gabriel as a better quarterback. They saw both quarterbacks in preseason, both of which had flashes of greatness, both of which had flashes of, well, they're obviously rookie quarterbacks, and you could tell at some points. Again, I think Shedeur has the higher ceiling. He has the highest ceiling in that room that you're looking at. I love Joe Flacco as a starter because Joe Flacco slings it in Cleveland. And for now, I'm cool with the order. Gabriel will be 2, but I would love eventually to see Shedeur get out there and really just play. But right now, Gabriel was methodical, had some good passes in preseason. I think we're good. We'll have to get into this more. On to the Browns' official running back room. Looks empty, right? There's only 2 on the 53-man to start off. Jerome Ford is the 1, Dylan Sampson for the 2. And as you know, we're not sure yet about Quinshon Judkins' legal situation in terms of the NFL's investigation of it. But I do think that this room being open paves the way for Quinshon Judkins to finally get in there, sign a deal, and be the guy that takes over the Browns' backfield. It's also possible that Cleveland goes out and gets an additional running back because you can't. There's no way they just only have 2 by the time the season starts, right? They can't go into week 1 with just 2 available running backs. So this is either good news for Quinshon Judkins that the Browns feel comfortable he'll be able to sign his deal and play, or they might go out and get someone like Austin Estime or another running back on the market. But I do think that this paves the way for Judkins to take over. Into the wide receivers, officially. Jerry Jeudy is the 1. We knew this would be the case. Tillman the 2, knew that as well. Jamari Thrash in at wide receiver 3. Isaiah Bond, Gage Larvidan, and DeAndre Carter make the roster as well. The rest of the league is sleeping on this wide receiver room. If you ask a lot of the analysts or even your friends, the casual football fans, they might say, who do the Browns have at receiver? Those are nobodies. But if you've been following Cleveland Browns football and you sub to the Browns Report, you know Gage Larvadan has impressed in the preseason. I'm super hyped for him to get an opportunity out there. He had a couple touchdowns in the preseason, and he works hard. He's versatile. So Cleveland bringing in Isaiah Bond as well, a guy that could have been a third-round pick, potentially even a second or first-round pick in certain mock drafts that I saw. He's got blazing speed, and I think the Browns will do what they can in the wide receiver room. So I'm excited about it. I believe Cleveland has a better wide receiver room than most of the league or other fans of teams will tell you. But I think it's something to be excited about. On to the tight end room. David Njoku, the beast, the stud, tight end 1. We knew this would be the case. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end 2. Excited to see what the rookie out of Bowling Green can do. And then I talked about how Cleveland likes to keep multiple tight ends. They're going to go with 4. Brendan Bates and Blake Whiteheart in the tight end room for the Browns. You know that Cleveland likes to bring in a few on third down and a lot of guys that can block a little more and save their stars. So I'm not surprised that Cleveland has 4 on the depth chart at the moment. On to the offensive line room. We know the starting 5. DeJuan Jones, Joel Bitonio, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin. It's a good, strong offensive line when it can stay healthy. A couple of those guys have been all pros before. Then, backing up, we'll have Cornelius Lucas, who also is dealing with an injury, but thankfully, Cleveland brought in KT Leviston today, who had a great preseason for the Rams, only allowed 2 pressures in all of his 73 snaps. Tevin Jenkins, Luke Whippler also going to be backing up the big boys. And finally, Zach Zinter making it on the official 53-man for the Browns. On to the defensive line. And this one is looking good, folks. Myles Garrett, don't you love seeing that face? Absolute havoc wreaker in the backfield. Malik Collins, Mason Graham, super excited to see him play at D tackle. And Alex Wright getting the start at defensive end. Isaiah McGuire, of course, will make the roster, as will Shelby Harris and Aiden Huntington, who earned his way onto that roster. Wow, what a preseason Huntington had. Super versatile, explosive, strong, tracks the ball. Super excited to see what we have. Mike Hall Jr. is past his physical and is able to make the official 53-man roster and be active. So that's good news. Cam Thomas and, of course, Tryon Shoyinka, who had some great preseason reps as well, will round out the Browns' defensive line depth chart. Folks, that is a deep, strong D-line unit. Get excited. Cleveland has always put an emphasis on defensive line and applying pressure. And I think it's going to be heck for opposing quarterbacks to have to deal with. And opposing offensive lines have to try and block Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, Malik Collins, you name it. It's going to be heck for other NFL teams. So as long as we can get our secondary act together and not give up too many plays over the top, the Browns are going to apply pressure and the defensive line unit is going to be strong. I want to know from you people in the comments, how many wins for the Browns in 2025? Give me a number. The 53-man looking pretty decent initially. I still think there's areas where Cleveland can go get some work, mainly the secondary, like I said, and potentially another offensive lineman just because, Cleveland can have some injuries in that spot, especially in years past. But go ahead, drop your prediction right now. How many wins do the Browns get in 2025? Moving on to the linebacker room. I told you it's also surprisingly solid with Devin Bush, Carson Schlesinger, and Mahmoud Diabate. Schlesinger is going to be an absolute beast. We're so happy we have him on the roster. And Devin Bush making the 53-man is a good sign as well for his case that's still under review. Jerome Baker will make it to back up Schlesinger. And then, of course, Easton Mascaronis and Arnold. And as I told you, JOK out for the year. Winston Reed on the IR. Sad about JOK, but I think the room still has some bright spots. On to the corners. Denzel Ward, the Warden, is back, along with Greg Newsome and Cameron Mitchell in the slot. Miles Harden makes the roster, as does Dom Jones. I showed you that Lamarian James got cut, so Cleveland down to just 5 corners in that room. I do think they should go make a move for a corner. It's a move they probably should have made for a couple years now, but they haven't yet. Still hyped about Ward and Newsome tandem. On to the safeties. Ronnie Hickman, Grant Delpit, we knew they would be on the roster. Donovan McMillan, though, earned his way onto this spot. After some good preseason reps, McMillan will be a backup free safety for the Browns. Quinshon Judkins and DeMonte Casey will also be on the roster. Getting in to the special teams. I told you Hopkins is out. Andre Schmidt is in. The rookie hit all his kicks in preseason, and it's going to be good to see. Well, actually, he was in the UFL in 2024 and originally drafted by the Bears, but didn't get to see any action. I'm excited to see what Schmidt can do for the Browns. Hopefully, he can be a kicker that makes kicks. That's all we need. Corey Bojorquez, one of the best punters in the league. Hopefully he doesn't have to be out there too much this year, but man, when he is, that's a good recipe. The defensive line and Corey Bojorquez pinning offenses down inside the 10, that's going to be good news, folks. And then, like I said, Rex Sunahara will be the long snapper. Never really a competition there. All right, I want to hear your honest opinion. That is the official 53-man roster for your Cleveland Browns. Rate it. Scale of 1 to 10. How do we feel? The Browns' initial 53-man. Give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10 in the comments. I'll go in, see how confident we're all feeling. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Browns Report. We just got the news, and we immediately bring you the analysis, the reaction. Go ahead, drop me a follow on X as well. Like I said, there's a funny video of me up there right now reacting to Hopkins missing a PAT. So go ahead, check that out. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you next time here on the Browns Report.